Okay. And now I will share my screen again. Awesome. Okay, so I would start then. If you have any questions, I would really like you to wait until the end. Maybe write them down if you want, or put it in the chat, because this is a lot of information. And I am sure, like, whenever I see this presentation, I get like many questions, but they get answered right away. So yeah, so don't worry about it. And well, let's get started. I will talk about writing for the web. This is a little training. Prepare for this. Wait a second. Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead with it. So the little subtitle of this presentation is how people don't read online content, basically, because when people are online, they are basically scanning for information. They are looking for directions and answers, and they're not really reading big chunks of text. They are much more likely to scan digital content than they are to actually read it. And when scanning, people glance at words, phrases, headings, or section of pages, often out of order. They are looking for stuff and they fixate on only some of the words rather than entire lines of text. So does this mean that our online readers are lazy? Well, not really. It's just that there's just so much information on the internet that people are actually trying to avoid this information overload, and they are seeking this information scent, so to speak, to avoid, well, yeah, this information overload, as I said. Each source of information emits a scent, which are like these signals that tell the user how likely it is for it to contain what they're looking for. So as digital product creators, it is our job to provide strong information scent for each piece of content to ensure people can find what they want quickly. So the best way for people to not engage with our content is to write big walls of text. A wall of text is a major repellent that instantly makes users think twice about engaging with content. There are different motivations and goals that influence the way that people scan content, and I'm gonna talk you through some of them. The first one is the level of motivation. Highly motivated users are more likely to read linearly or completely, at least for portions of the text. They scan further down long pages and they spend more time on pages. And very unmotivated users are more likely to read only the heading or summary. They are likely to abandon the page quickly or click on a link on the page hurriedly if it seems more promising than the current content. Also, people are motivated by their current task and task type. But people try to fixate on the elements that are relevant to their task. The same page will be processed differently by the same user when their goals change. Levels of focus are also very different. It's a very high factor. In other words, like how focused or unfocused a user is on the task at hand is related also to the emotional state of the person and their mood. So yeah, they get influenced by this when they are reading for content. Low focus can be seen in the user's scanning and reading behavior. The user does not have a very specific word or topic in mind. Instead, he looks at the text a bit more neutrally and possibly open-mindedly. Common examples of low focus tasks are, for example, social media browsing or reading a news website. The user has really no specific goal in mind and may not feel like this sense of urgency. A focused user has in mind a topic, an idea, and often particular words. And also what might influence the way some people scan the content is personal characteristics. For example, web experience level does not greatly affect scanning or reading, but users' literacy does have a big impact. Okay, so let's talk about type of pages. There are two types of pages, the routing page and the destination page. Routing page help users discover and get to destination pages. We're talking here about home pages, search engine result pages, and listing pages, etc. And destination pages contain the information that the user seeks out and consumes. These might be articles, blog posts, about us pages, or description pages. We will talk also about reading patterns, in which I am noting here the F pattern, the spotter pattern, the layer cake pattern, and commitment pattern. Well, the F pattern, like the name says, it's basically, well, this F pattern that you can see like here in the right. And basically, when a page contains little formatting, the user's default scanning approach is the F pattern. And we can find this all over a lot of devices, even mobile. And yeah, well, it's basically reading the headline first and then scanning for the interesting information. Spotted pattern is more like people who are looking for keywords, links, and digits. This is common when users are looking for a specific piece of information or scanning for keywords, or our interface has visible elements that stand out, like hyperlinks or bolded words. The layer cake pattern is basically reading through the headlines. People scan the subheadings before they choose a section that they want to read further. This is efficient, especially with long pages, and it allows readers to quickly determine the page topics and help them identify which text section they want to read, scan further, or ignore. And the commitment pattern is where people do read more precisely and thoroughly. And this pattern only occurs when users find a section of content directly related to their task, topic, or interest. And there is little or no scanning in other areas of the page where the user is not really interested. Okay, so having this information should give us enough tools to better structure our content. So to make content predictable and easy to scan, we should give users strong information sense, which could be some of this. Titles with keywords people are looking for, headings and subheadings to break walls of text, bullet points, both important words and phrases, and chunking and following the inverted pyramid style. I will talk about chunking and the inverted pyramid style in the next slides. The inverted pyramid writing styles basically is placing the most important information at the top of the page and not buried in the middle or in the bottom, starting with the conclusion in the first paragraph and including the most important keywords at the beginning. You should also limit each paragraph to one main point and start each paragraph with the conclusion. Here we can see it more visually, why it's called the inverted pyramid writing style. So to address who, what, when, where, and why, then some interesting facts, extra details, and less important information at the end in case the user doesn't get there. And chunking content means breaking up content into small distinct units of information as opposed to presenting an undifferentiated mess of information. This is also very important while doing graphic design to assign, the hierarchies to each text so that it's more legible and easy to process for the user. Because of this, we do have some tools in Planet 4, for example, the accordion block, which is very helpful to reduce information overload by using these collapsing accordions. They include clear accordion labels and they help users scan and see the available content. Also, anchor links, which is also a blog that we have in Planet 4. These are like these little, like words here that act like as a link. And these can act as a table of contents, and they also help the user form a mental model of the page, provides direct access to content of interest, and increases discoverability of content. Okay, so what should we avoid on destination pages? Basically, fluffy introductory paragraphs, like no one is going to read that. Lists with repetitive words. Center aligned text for paragraphs. This is very hard to read, so we should really avoid this. Acronyms that users can't understand. Content should be approachable by any means. Walls of text, and also decorative images. Okay, so regarding UI copies, which are like the labels for commands and other action-oriented elements in the user interface, I'm talking about text that goes in buttons or menu items or drop-downs, etc. This should be short and concise. It should avoid generic language and branded terms. It should reflect the state the UI will move into rather than the current state. And it should lead with verbs that clearly mention what will happen after the command is selected. Here I have an example, like using click here on a button is very generic and it doesn't really explain where the page is taking you. Also, learn more is the new click here, so it's not really a good solution to put as a call to action. A link is a promise, so then users are clicking on it and would like to find what they're looking for and not being confused about where they're gonna reach if they click the button. Learn, see, read more, load more, they're not specific enough, and users have no idea what to expect behind these labels and are more likely to skip them. They are also very bad for accessibility. People with disabilities who use screen readers can also use a feature that allows them to skip everything else on the page and hear only the actual list of links and buttons, which means that if they want to hear the buttons and all says, learn more, learn more, learn more, well, it's not a very good experience, So what we are recommending here is to be more specific, like in this example, for example, that it says see Greenpeace victories. This is accurate enough, so and specific enough so that people know where the link will take them. Okay, we also have micro content, which are the short fragments or phrases used to communicate key messages in a concise form. We're talking about page titles, headlines, email subject lines, summaries, etc. And this should be concise and scannable, understandable out of context, plain and direct, interesting and attention-grabbing, and they should tell people something useful, beneficial, or reassuring. Okay. I will just look rapidly in the chat. I don't know, to see if you have like any questions or something. Okay, cool. Then I will continue then. Okay, so something very important across our sites is to define language and voice. The biggest challenge that we're facing right now in the content creation in many different countries is a lack of clear content strategy. So before you start writing any piece of content, maybe try to answer the following questions. The first one would be, who is your audience? The second, why are you writing this? The third, how will your reader use this information? The fourth, how should you present the information? And the fifth, how are you going to measure success? For the first one, well, Users will search using the terminology that makes sense to them. So your website should definitely use the same language as your audience. If you are targeting a range of users with varying expertise, like some people with very little knowledge or some people with a lot, you will need to ensure that you use multiple variation of the same word in your copies. Also, why are you writing this? Good examples of answers to this question would be like to educate people, generate leads, increase conversion, help people find you, SEO. Like, you should definitely know this before you start writing. The third thing that we have to take into consideration is how will your users use this information? Will they get answers like about your organization? What do they do? How do we work? Is this gonna be used as learning topics? Do they want to know what are the latest environmental news? What are the current issues? Or will they take action with this information? Would they be asking, how can I help? What are the different ways to get involved? The fourth one is how should you present the information? And you should take into consideration what format are you going to use, what would be the organization of your content, the structure, and the length. So yeah, like doing, do I do an article or do I do an infographic, or, this should also be, this is very relevant whenever you're preparing your content. And the fifth is how will you measure success? First, you should choose success metrics. It can be based in happiness or satisfaction, CSAT or NPS. CSAT is client satisfaction and NPS is Net Promoter Score, which measures client satisfaction. But you can also measure conversion, like how many leads, how many petitions signed, donation, or also engagement, how much traffic has come to your site because of this article, or time spent on the site and page views, or by task, how many tasks have been completed, or how successful have they been by doing that. The second thing would be to measure these metrics before changes, before you change your content. You can do it by doing usability testing or analytics data or surveys or eye tracking. And you can also measure content. No, you should also measure content afterwards so that you have like a neat comparison between measurements. And then you can share and make more informed decisions. Okay, so with something that's also important is defining your tone of voice, as content can make or break trust. So what really makes a brand trustworthy is credibility, the belief that the organization can help, plus benevolence, which is the belief that the organization has good intention. So this is very important to keep in mind. We should definitely use plain language so that your audience can understand the first time they read or hear it. So for this, I would say the tips are: use words that are familiar to readers, choose simple everyday words, less formal, aim to keep your writing as close to speech as possible, avoid expressions or idioms or jargon, use the active voice, be concise, avoid long sentences, and avoid unnecessary acronyms. Yeah, so this is also a very good idea. Whenever you write something, you can actually evaluate how difficult passages are to read and understand based on word length and syllables and sentence length. So the recommendations are the following. The word count should be as low as possible. Words per sentence, we're talking about between 15 and 20. The Flash Kincaid reading is, this is like a test to see how easy it is to read your text. And the qualification should be higher than 50. So this is made for the, I guess, American schooling system, which means, yeah, the transition pages should be understood by a scholar in the 6th grade, and destination pages should be for, for students grade 8 to 10. Here, I'm going to share the presentation with you afterwards, and then you can look at these tools, which some of them are online, and I think some of them are free, so that you can pass your articles and see how hard they are to understand and how is the word count and everything. Okay, so I'm going to make a little stop like right now in case, yeah, like in case you want to, do you have any questions so far, or something that you would like to ask before I move on with the next part?
No questions from me, just in words of encouragement. This is great.
Awesome.
It's so good to have this all in one place. And I'm really enjoying it. So maybe we could do a little pause of emoji reactions if you guys are too. Thanks, GK. Thanks, Cara.
Awesome. Thank you.
Looks like we are. Let's keep going.
Cool. Then let's go ahead. Thank you for that emoji pause. Okay, so then we will continue now with SEO best practices. So yeah, SEO reminders. Pick a keyword or a phrase that you know that people search a lot, and then use the keyword phrase in the page heading, in the title tag, at the top in the copy on the page, a few more times throughout the copy, including variation, in an alt tag, in the URL, and in the meta description tag. So yeah, this is like a little checklist for you to have like better results regarding SEO. A very good tip is to write descriptive alt tags for all multimedia elements. This is necessary for SEO as well for accessibility. Alt tags are read by assistive devices like screen readers, which is, here embedded in the code. This is the alt part in which normally you should write the description of the image that we're all looking at. Make this part of your content creation and maintenance process. Every image, video, or audio should get a descriptive alt tag. These are some of the SEO elements in a page. The URL, that should include the main keyword if possible. Keep it simple. The title, which is here, which is the page title, and it has a maximum of 60 characters, including the main keywords. The H1, the header 1, which is right here. Yeah, you should definitely add there also the keyword, and that describes the content of the page. A small note, like we have noticed that in other sites, for some reason they use H2, which shouldn't be a problem, but it is. So keep in mind, if you're the one that is editing the text, please do consider to use always H1 and not H2. Okay, so in images, we should also put the keyword in the alt text. As I said before, in the body text, try to use your keyword in the text in a more natural way. And whenever you have links, that is also very important for SEO. Okay, so which is also important to keep in mind, to write for people and not machines. So make pages primarily for users, not for search engines. Don't deceive your users. Avoid tricks intended to improve search engine rankings, like yeah, there are many that we shouldn't do that. We should definitely be focusing on what makes our website unique, valuable, or engaging, and focus on that and create content of quality. Okay, so yeah, I will talk a little bit more about media content. I was talking before about avoiding stock images or arbitrary images or decorative images, because images should reinforce the key messages and support communication goals. They communicate, don't decorate. So it's not that you should use icons or images to fill the space. And this is important because users, whenever they see stock photos, they think it's advertising, and people skip it naturally. So just use images and icons that are relevant to the topic. And also search engines and assistive technologies can't detect words that are embedded in images. Okay, so I think I spoke to Kara about this last time that we talked. You should definitely avoid PDF format for online reading, as there are many issues with PDFs online. Normally, they're hard to navigate, and finding specific content is difficult. They are usually not formatted to support online reading. They have sometimes, or most of the time, large images, which are very slow to download. And there's a lot of excessive scrolling happening because they are optimized for printed sheets and not a browser. The possible solution for this is to make a little HTML page to summarize the PDF, like creating like this gateway page in which we summarize key points and we include the link to download the full PDF, so that if you're talking about like a scientific research or something, people can look at it, and if they are very interested, they will read it. But if not, then they have like this page, which is a little more broad. And that way, from other pages, you should also link to the gateway page and not the PDF. And that way, you will allow the search engine to index the gateway page and not the PDF. So this is an more or less easy solution to that problem. Okay, so evaluating content. Keep track of what you have and where. I think you're already doing this, a content inventory and a content audit, and you should definitely maintain it on a regular basis. And you should be also monitoring and testing your content. May it be with analytics, look at paths to and from content, run A/B tests to determine the best approach to a piece of content. You should also monitor social media and review for themes, topics to emphasize, issues to address, and new content ideas. And you can also do some usability tests for your content. So, okay, we're almost done. Yes, so this is like a little summary of what you should be checking in your next article or blog post or content piece. You should definitely consider to write short sentences under 20 words. Select simpler words. Use keywords that match the user's language. Write descriptive pages, titles, and links. Replace any jargon, slang, idioms, and weird expressions. Format content for ease of scanning. Use non-text elements to support comprehension, but do not decorate. Place the most important information at the top of the page. Remove unnecessary content. Start with the conclusion in the first paragraph. Write descriptive metadata tag, title, description, and image. Run the readability statistics. Aim for below grade 8. Use meaningful images, icons, and infographics. Use HTML pages to summarize PDFs, and keep track, monitor, and test your content. Okay, so thank you very much. And I will take any questions you may have.
That was fabulous. Thank you, Karen.